I've always been second. Second daughter. Second thought. Second priority. Not that anyone ever said it outright. No one ever looked me in the eye and said, "You're less than your sister." They didn't have to. The message was sewn into the fabric of my childhood, tucked into birthday cards with no cash, while Sarah's came stuffed, spelled out in the way they bragged about her grades, her soccer games, her art projects, while mine, even with perfect scores and acceptance letters, were met with distracted nods and "That's nice, honey." Let her be called Sarah. 8 years younger than me, and treated like a tiny, golden deity from the moment she was born. She cried. The world stopped. She wanted. She got. Her 16th birthday? A car, shiny and new. She crashed it a month later texting on the freeway, and all they said was, "She's young, she'll learn." I wanted to scream. I've never been given anything like that. My first car was a beater with no AC that I bought with money I made folding sweaters at a department store after class. While Sarah was getting driving lessons and birthday blowouts, I was watching tuition debt pile up like storm clouds. They didn't co-sign my student loans. Didn't offer. I worked. I budgeted. I said no to drinks and yes to double shifts. I've said yes to everything they never even asked her. Still, I love them. My parents. Even when I shouldn't. That's the worst part, isn't it? Loving people who take from you so easily, so casually, and then act like you're the one being difficult when you say, "That hurt." I never had much, but I had my safety net. A little savings account I built from leftover checks, birthday money, freelance gigs. Nothing flashy. Just $5,000. It took me years to build up. I never touched it. It was for emergencies, only real ones. Car repair. Dental surgery. Rent if I ever lost my job. The account had my name on it. Technically, it had their names too, my parents. I set it up back when I was 19 because I was scared of what would happen if something happened to me. I was still in college, still hopeful that maybe they'd come through for me when I needed it. But deep down, I should have known better. They always came through for her. And it all came crashing down on a Monday morning. First of the month. Rent day. I opened the banking app out of habit, waiting for the direct deposit from my paycheck to hit. That's when I saw it. My stomach twisted like a wrung-out towel. Minus $5,027.82. Gone. I blinked. Refreshed. Checked the statement. The withdrawal wasn't fraud. It wasn't some scammer. It was, by proxy, by someone I'd trusted with access. I stared at the screen like maybe I could undo it just by looking hard enough. Like maybe it would reappear if I just closed the app and opened it again. I was shaking by the time I called the bank. The rep confirmed it. Yes, the withdrawal was authorized by someone listed on the account. Yes, a parent. No, we can't reverse it without proof of misuse. I didn't even hang up. I just ended the call and dialed my mom. She picked up on the third ring, her voice bright. "Hi, sweetie. How are you?" I didn't bother with pleasantries. "Did you take $5,000 from my savings?" There was a pause, long enough for me to hear the clink of dishes in the background. Then a sigh. "Yes, we needed it for Sarah's trip." My heart stopped. Her what? Her trip to Japan, remember? She's going with her friends after graduation. We told her we'd make it happen. She's been so excited. I couldn't speak. "We didn't have it right now," she went on, like it was the most natural thing in the world. "And you always say you're careful with money. We figured you'd be okay. I mean, you're responsible." That was it. That was the moment something inside me cracked. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I just listened. Let the fury pool in my chest like poison. "You used my emergency fund for Sarah's vacation? It's not like you were using it." That's what she said. I don't remember hanging up. I don't remember the walk to my desk, or how long I sat there in silence. All I know is that by the time I stood up, I wasn't the same person anymore. They took everything I'd worked for, everything I'd sacrificed, and gave it to her like it was theirs to give. Let her be called Sarah. The golden child. The dreamer. The thief by proxy. And let this be the last time she takes something from me without paying the price. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I laid in bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, the soft hum of the city outside my window doing nothing to drown out the roaring in my chest. My body was exhausted, but my mind wouldn't stop circling the same thought. They took my money. My money. $5,000. That was rent for 3 months. That was peace of mind. That was mine. I wasn't planning to spend it, but I liked knowing it was there. Knowing that no matter what happened, car trouble, medical bills, unexpected layoff, I wouldn't sink. I stared at the ceiling and felt myself sinking anyway. By morning, I'd already changed the password on my online banking. It didn't matter. The damage was done. But I needed control over something. Anything. I took an early lunch and walked to the bank. In person. The woman at the counter wore a soft pink cardigan and kind eyes, but even kindness couldn't sugarcoat her words. Yes, the funds were withdrawn using proxy authorization. Since the other account holders are your parents and you haven't filed fraud charges, our hands are a bit tied in terms of reversal. I blinked. They weren't supposed to use it. It's my emergency fund. The woman's mouth tugged down in sympathy. I understand. Believe me. If you'd like, we can remove them from the account moving forward. Yes. The word left my mouth like a gunshot. Do that. Immediately. She nodded and began typing. Honestly, she added, after a moment, you wouldn't believe how many people come in with the same issue. Family thinking shared access means free reign. I forced a bitter smile. I believe it. I left the bank with a new debit card, a fresh password, and no one but me attached to the account. It should have felt like victory. It didn't. It felt like grief. Like the final thread tying me to the idea that maybe, just maybe, my parents would one day treat me with the same care and protection they offered Sarah without question. By the time I got home, I had a voicemail from my dad. I didn't even press play. I knew what it would say. Let's not blow this out of proportion. We're family. Don't be dramatic. And then came the text from Sarah. Hey, LOL, sorry mom told me you were mad. I didn't know the money was yours. I thought it was like a family thing. Anyway, hope you're not too upset. Can't wait for Japan. The fury I'd kept on a low simmer flared like wildfire. She didn't even know? Or worse, didn't care? That night, I ate dinner alone at my kitchen table, scrolling through Sarah's latest Instagram post, a boomerang of her holding her passport and fake crying with the caption. Me after finding out my dream trip might be cancelled 'cause someone can't share. Hashtag greed, hashtag some people don't it, hashtag still manifesting. Over 100 likes. 3 comments saying, who would do that to their sister? One of them from a cousin. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. I was the villain now. The jealous, selfish older sister who refused to help out her baby sibling with a few spare dollars. Spare. Like years of side hustles, denied vacations, and skip nights out were just fluff I hoarded for fun. I looked at the calendar. Her flight was in 12 days. 12 days. I stared at the photo, at the passport, at the comments calling me cold, petty, ungrateful. And then something inside me shifted. Not rage. Not pain. Clarity. They wanted to call me selfish? Let them. I opened my laptop and pulled up the same site Sarah had used for her booking. Tokyo. 7 nights. Solo traveler. I wasn't going to spend the money. But now? Now I would spend it all. Not out of anger. Out of precision. They took my money for a dream that wasn't theirs to fund. Let her be called Sarah. And let her watch me live it first. They didn't even sound guilty. That's what stunned me the most. Not the theft, not really. I should have expected that by now. But the ease with which they justified it? That was something else entirely. It started with another call from Mom, 2 days after I froze them out of the account. I'd been ignoring their texts, letting them stew in silence. But she caught me off guard on a Friday night, just as I was heating up leftovers. Her name lit up my phone. I let it ring. Then, the voicemail dropped. Sweetheart, can we talk? Your father and I are really hurt. We didn't mean for this to turn into such a thing. Such a thing. As if they hadn't stolen from me. I didn't call back. But Sarah did. Her name popped up as I was halfway through my lukewarm noodles. I answered on instinct, maybe out of morbid curiosity. She didn't say hi. She was already crying. You ruined everything, she sobbed, voice thick with drama and freshly lit mascara. Do you have any idea how long I've waited for this trip? I didn't respond. I told everyone, she went on, breath hitching. My friends already booked their flights. Mom said we'd figure it out, and then you went nuclear. You mean when I got my money back? I asked, voice flat. It's not like that, she snapped, indignation lacing every syllable. You could have helped. You're the older sister. You're supposed to be the responsible one. That word. Responsible. It echoed like a slap. So, let me get this straight, I said. You all made a choice without asking me. Took something that wasn't yours. And now I'm the problem because I didn't keep smiling while you spent my money. It's not fair, she hissed. You always make me feel like I don't do enough. Like I haven't earned things. I almost laughed. Earned? She had a fully funded college fund waiting. A car at 16. Tutors. Trips. Praise. All I had was a savings account. I didn't make you feel anything, Sarah. Maybe the guilt is just finally showing up. I hung up. 5 minutes later, my phone rang again. Dad. I let it go to voicemail, but this time I listened. Mira. Your mother's upset. Your sister's in tears. You've taken this too far. We didn't steal from you, we borrowed. Families help each other. That's how this works. You're supposed to understand these things. You have a good job. You weren't going to use that money right now anyway. He paused. We didn't have the money for her trip. So you could help. Why wouldn't you want to? It wasn't even a question. It was a lecture. Because in their world, love meant giving until you were empty, and silence meant consent. I deleted the voicemail and blocked his number. For years I had lived in their twisted logic, where my boundaries were seen as betrayal and my sacrifices were invisible unless they benefited Sarah. But something had shifted. Finally, permanently. They wanted logic? Here's some. I paid for college myself. I worked through flu seasons and mental breakdowns. I made every dollar count while they threw gifts at Sarah like glitter. And when they stole from me, they called me selfish. So I planned my flight, booked the hotel. I even reserved a spot on the exact Tokyo food tour Sarah had been gushing about for months. If they thought I was selfish before, I was about to show them how selfish looked when it wore confidence and flew first class. Let her be called Sarah. Let her cry. Let her learn the cost of being entitled to someone else's work. The day the refund hit my account, I didn't feel triumph. I felt numb. It wasn't an apology. There was no note. No call. No we messed up. Just $5,000 deposited back like it had never been touched, like it hadn't already been dragged through entitlement, manipulation, and public shaming. I stared at the notification for a long time. Then I moved it into a new account. One they couldn't find. One with my name and mine alone. That was the real refund. The severing. I spent the rest of the day tying up loose ends. Changed every password. Called my insurance. Removed them as emergency contacts. Added my best friend instead. Took them off the spare key list at my building. Made everything mine again. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. There was power in the silence. Sarah had gone quiet online too, at least for a day or two. Maybe someone pointed out how awful it looked to weaponize Instagram against your own sister. But the next post came anyway. Her, in front of a mirror, holding a half-packed suitcase. Eyes red. Bottom lip trembling. Captioned. Guess I'm not going to Japan after all. Sometimes the people closest to you disappoint you the most. Hashtag lesson learned. Hashtag betrayal hurts. She left the comments open. Of course she did. They rolled in fast. WTF kind of sister would do that? You deserve better. Some people just hate seeing others happy. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. But my fingers itched with the desire to drop the receipt, the proof of the refund. The texts. The voicemail. The truth. Instead, I booked the last missing piece of my trip, a ryokan in Hakone, just outside Tokyo. Private hot springs. Mountain views. Silence. No one in my life had ever given me something just because I wanted it. So I gave it to myself. That night, my mom called 3 times in a row. I ignored each one. Then came the message. Mira, please call us back. We're really disappointed. We thought you were more mature than this. Disappointed. I laughed out loud. For once, they were disappointed in me. The next day, I posted a single image, a boarding pass. Tokyo bound. No caption. The reaction was swift. Sarah texted. Are you serious? You stole my trip? You're disgusting. What is wrong with you? My phone buzzed for hours after that. My cousin, my aunt, even a childhood neighbor who hadn't spoken to me in years messaged me to say, heard about the drama. Is it true? I didn't answer anyone. But I did post again, just a photo of my packed bag and a quote underneath. Revenge is not loud. It's first class. By the time I boarded the plane, I had muted every group chat with my family in it. As the plane lifted into the air, I stared out the window at the clouds unraveling below and thought, let her be called Sarah. Let her scream into her screen. Let them all. I was done explaining. I was done apologizing for protecting what was mine. And I was on my way to a country she thought she could steal. I didn't post anything for the first 2 days in Japan. Let them wonder. Let them stew in their own silence. I walked Tokyo in calm defiance, boots hitting pavement that Sarah only got to imagine, eyes wide with a neon dream I had turned into a personal rebellion. I wandered through Shibuya's chaos like I owned it, ducked into narrow ramen shops and ordered with gestures and smiles, my breath fogging the windows as I ate alone. No itinerary. No drama. Just me, moving through a world no one gave me permission to explore. And still, their messages came. Not apologies. Not concern. No, performative rage. That was their favorite genre. You're humiliating us. Mom, this is your sister's dream, not yours. Why would you do this? Dad, I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure it's easy to steal someone's joy when you've never had your own. Sarah, the last one made me laugh bitter and quiet in the lobby of a Kyoto hotel that smelled like cedar and silence. I read it while sipping tea poured by an old woman who bowed so deeply I nearly teared up. I was halfway around the world from them, and they still believed everything revolved around her. Let her be called Sarah, then. The center of a solar system built on guilt. She posted a new story that day, a slideshow of old photos. Her and her friends planning the trip, sitting cross-legged with Pinterest boards open. Photoshopped images of her holding cherry blossoms, laughing at Tokyo Tower, her passport on the kitchen counter with the caption, "Was supposed to be me. Could have been me. But my sister took that too." As if I'd taken something else before. As if my whole life hadn't been the leftovers from her feast. It hit me then how deeply they had built this narrative. How much of my story they had rewritten to fit the script of the neglected little sister and the selfish older one who never shared. They never saw me working double shifts. Never saw me sobbing in my college apartment with ramen and a broken heater. Never noticed how I never asked them for help because I knew better. And now that I had drawn a boundary, now they cried theft? No, this wasn't theft. This was a refund. That night, I posted one photo, me, standing in a yukata, serene and lit by lantern glow, with cherry blossoms falling behind me like forgiveness I would never give. The caption? Some dreams don't get stolen. They get reclaimed. No tags. No names. But Sarah knew. Oh, she knew. Because minutes later, my cousin messaged me. Sarah's having a meltdown on live. She's crying. She said you're cruel. Cruel. They always called women cruel when we stopped bleeding for others. Let her cry. Let her scream. I was done playing the villain in a family play I never auditioned for. They thought it would stop there. That I'd get my little trip, my tantrum, my moment of rebellion, and then come home ashamed, tail between my legs, ready to be folded back into their story. The older sister who learned her lesson. They had no idea I had just begun. I stayed in Japan longer than planned. I extended the trip by another 5 days. Booked a tatami room in Nara, wandered through bamboo forests where even my thoughts felt like intruders. I deleted my social apps for a week. Just gone. Unreachable. And it drove them insane. Sarah kept posting cryptic stories with black backgrounds and white text. Some people really don't care about family. I'll never forget this. Enjoy your stolen trip. I'll be here, healing from betrayal. She even reposted one of my photos, me in front of the Fushimi Inari gates, blurring out my face and writing, "This should have been me." Her followers rallied. She'd made herself the victim of the year. All of them fed her ego like sugar, oblivious to the rot underneath. And I stayed silent. Because silence, when you're used to being the one who always explains, always smooths things over, always apologizes for other people's feelings, is the most deafening weapon of all. But I was watching. I saw the desperation setting in. Then the cracks deepened. It started with a text from my uncle, Dad's older brother. The one who always watched family drama like it was a soap opera, but never commented. "Hey, just checking in. Everything okay?" I heard a version of the story, but something didn't sit right. I sent him a single photo, a screenshot of the deposit. $5,000 from parents' name, memo, repayment. His reply came quick. "Holy shit." Then another. "So they used your money and spun it like you were selfish?" Classic. "You good?" For the first time in years, I was. Word started to spread. Quietly. Slowly. In the background. I didn't fan the flames. I didn't need to. The truth has a way of rotting lies from the inside out. Sarah's TikToks got quieter. Her likes dropped. I got one last text from her. "Hope you had fun pretending you're the main character." No punctuation. Just venom. I didn't answer. I just posted one photo, no face. Just my hand holding a matcha latte with a Japanese garden in the background. The caption. Main character energy requires your own funding. I knew it would land. It did. That was the day my mother finally cracked. She called from some unknown number. I picked up, surprised. "Mira," she said, her voice tight. "You've made your point." I smiled, slow and deliberate. "I don't think you understand, Mom. This wasn't about a point. This is humiliating," she hissed. "We have people calling, texting. Your uncle, your aunt. Even Brenda from the church group messaged me asking what we did. I guess word travels fast when you lie loudly. You could have talked to us. You didn't have to make it public." I let the silence stretch, a smile ghosting my lips. "You made it public when Sarah started posting about me," I said quietly. "All I did was take back what was mine." And then, before she could respond, before she could summon her usual guilt spells, I hung up. No fight. No fury. Just exit. Click. For once, they were left with the silence. And I was left with something better than revenge. Peace. And the bitter knowledge that they had handed it to me themselves. Selfish. That was the word they settled on. It was the only one they had left. After the truth leaked, after enough people started whispering that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the villain here, they clung to the last insult that still made them feel righteous. "She's changed," my mom told one of her friends in a message that got screenshotted and sent to me. "She's so selfish lately," my dad reportedly said at a family dinner I wasn't invited to. "It's like she doesn't care about anyone but herself." And Sarah? Her Instagram bio now read, "Loyalty matters. Greed is ugly." I didn't laugh. Not at first. I just sat in a quiet cafe in Osaka, watching rain streak down the window, holding a pastry I didn't recognize the name of, and realized something. They finally said something true. I was selfish now. Not the toxic, manipulative kind they tried to paint me as. Not the withhold love to punish others kind. But the boundaried kind. The kind who puts herself first. The kind who stops bleeding for people who keep calling it a gift. Let them call me selfish. Let her be called Sarah. Let her be called the one who cried for what she didn't earn and called it injustice. Let her be called the sister who forgot that family doesn't mean unlimited withdrawals from another person's life. And let me be called something new. Unapologetic. I walked through gardens she would have posted about. Tasted food she dreamed of trying. I stood where she wanted to stand, not to spite her, but because I refused to give up one more thing so someone else could have it easier. One afternoon, I posted a carousel. 5 photos. Quiet. Peaceful. Beautiful. A temple. A bowl of ramen. A corner bookstore. Me, barely visible, walking across a bridge at dusk. No captions. No hashtags. Just moments. A new friend I met at a local hostel messaged me, "You traveling with anyone?" "No," I replied. "Just me." They sent back a heart. Power move. Back in the States, my roommate texted. "They're unraveling. Your cousin called." Apparently Sarah tried to host a supportive sister night with her friends and not one of them showed. Also, she told people you got the money as a gift. I rolled my eyes. The goalpost would always move. Let her keep spinning it. Because I no longer needed to defend myself. And I sure as hell didn't owe anyone access to my peace. The old me, the one who would have written long texts explaining herself, trying to fix what wasn't hers to fix, she was gone. She got on a plane and never came back. I returned home to silence. Not peace. Not hostility. Just nothing. No welcome back texts. No calls. Not even one of Mom's emotionally manipulative, just checking in messages. I think they thought I would crawl back quietly, tail tucked. That I'd post some reflection about family over everything, that I'd feel remorse for setting boundaries. Instead, I unpacked slowly. Laundry. Souvenirs. The printed photos I took with a disposable camera from a vending machine in Tokyo, grainy, raw, beautiful. I pinned one to my fridge, me, smiling mid-bite, chopsticks in hand, no caption needed. The fridge was mine. The home was mine. My life, finally, was mine. A week after I got back, my aunt called. The only one who never chose sides, who always saw more than she let on. "I just want to say," she said, "you were right." That sentence cracked something I didn't even know was still brittle. She went on, "They've turned Sarah into this image. They think protecting her is love. But love doesn't look like theft. It doesn't look like manipulation." I exhaled. "They've started asking around for money," she added, her voice quieter now. "Your dad asked me to help pay for Sarah's summer course in Italy." I said no. A pause. Then, he muttered something about how Mira could have taken care of that if she wasn't off playing princess. Princess. I nearly laughed. That's what they think I am now? All because I stopped financing their fantasy? Let them think that. I posted one last photo from the trip that night. A wide shot of me on the Nakasendo Trail, distant and small, the path stretching far ahead. The caption read, "I didn't run away. I walked forward." There's a difference. It went quiet again after that. But I noticed things shifting. Mutuals unfollowed Sarah. My cousin sent me a screenshot. Sarah had turned her account private. Apparently, after my post, someone had commented, "Funny how the girl who paid for her own trip is the villain." The silence from my parents stretched longer than usual. They'd never gone this long without at least a guilt trap text. Then, finally, "Mira, you've made your point. Your sister is suffering. Can we move past this?" No apology. No ownership. Just another attempt to drag me back into the old cycle. I didn't reply. I didn't even get angry. I just looked at the text and whispered no. Out loud. To the air. Then I deleted it. No archive. No draft. No memory. Just gone. Let them sit in the silence they made. Let them feel what it's like to scream into a void and hear nothing back. Let her be called Sarah. And let her learn the difference between being the center of attention and the source of someone's love. I am no longer someone they can make small. The next time I saw them, it wasn't planned. It was at a cousin's graduation party, 6 weeks after Japan. I hadn't RSVP'd, hadn't said I was coming. I almost didn't. But something in me, calm, grounded, unshakable, said, you don't need to avoid them. They're not your shadow anymore. I wore white. Not soft, not apologetic, crisp, tailored, powerful. The kind of white that made people turn when you walked in. They were already there. Mom, pretending to be deeply engaged in small talk. Dad with a drink in his hand, his jaw tight when he spotted me. And Sarah, still platinum blonde, still curated for sympathy, went still like she'd seen a ghost. I didn't flinch. I didn't offer a smile. I just nodded once and walked past them, like you do with neighbors you once shared a fence with but no longer speak to. I spoke to the cousin, gave her flowers, took a photo, stayed exactly 23 minutes, long enough to be seen, not long enough to be dragged. On my way out, Sarah cornered me by the catering table. Her voice low, saccharine venomous. Feel better now? After all the drama? After you made me look like a fool? I looked at her like I was inspecting something I once owned and had long since outgrown. I didn't make you look like anything, I said. You did that on your own. She scoffed. You seriously think you're better than us now? No, I said. I think I'm better to me now. She blinked, thrown. I'm not mad, I added. I'm not even hurt. I'm just finished. She opened her mouth, closed it, and for once had nothing to say. As I walked away, I passed my parents. My dad looked like he wanted to speak. My mom looked like she wanted to cry. I gave them nothing. No rage. No tears. No opening. Because closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes, it's walking into a room and realizing they no longer have the power to make you shrink. That night, I lit a candle in my apartment, poured myself a glass of wine, and pulled out the photo album I'd made from Japan. No captions. Just photos of places they never got to take from me. At the very end, I'd tucked in one final snapshot, the receipt from the original withdrawal, right beside the one of the refund. And below them both, I wrote in black ink, let her be called Sarah. But let me be the one who wrote the ending. Closure didn't arrive with a bang. It came quietly. A locked door. A secured account. A silence I chose. Months passed. Sarah stopped posting. My parents stopped reaching out. Or maybe I stopped noticing. I deleted their numbers from my phone, blocked them on everything but email, just in case of emergencies. Real ones. The kind I used to plan for. The kind they made a mockery of. I didn't tell them about my promotion. Didn't invite them when I signed the lease for my new apartment, a high-floor, sunlit space that smells like eucalyptus and independence. I picked every piece of furniture with intent. No clutter. No history. Just clean lines and soft strength. One afternoon, I got an envelope in the mail. Handwritten return address. No name. It was from Sarah. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No greeting. No apology. Just, I hope one day you remember what it means to be a sister. I folded it once, then again, and dropped it into the shredder. I don't need to remember what it means to be a sister. I remember what it means to be stolen from, guilt-tripped, gaslit, used. I remember giving and being told I had a bad attitude when I asked for an ounce back. So no, I don't need her definition. I've written my own. A sister is someone who protects. But first, protects herself. I set up a new savings account with a credit union that knows me by name. They offered me a family access option. I declined. My emergency contact is now my best friend. A woman who once stood next to me at 2 a.m. holding ice cream and saying, "You're not crazy. You're just tired of pretending they didn't hurt you." I travel twice a year now. Solo. No apologies. I haven't posted another photo since Japan. I don't need the applause anymore. Let Sarah have her likes, her hashtags, her curated grief. Let her be called Sarah. Let her remember that once she posted a story about how I ruined her dream and then watched me go live it instead. And let me be called Mira, the sister who said no and meant it, the daughter who stopped asking to be seen, the woman who turned stolen money into sacred peace. My front door has a keypad lock. My new key is mine alone. No copies, no spares. The first time I locked it behind me, I stood there for a moment, hand on the handle, eyes closed. It didn't feel like locking them out. It felt like locking myself in. And that, finally, was everything.